A ceasefire agreement was just reached between Israel and Hamas to be put in place at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. As part of the deal, Hamas is supposed to release 50 hostages, and Israel is supposed to release up to 300 Palestinian prisoners currently being held in Israeli prisons for crimes that they have committed, also stop airstrikes on Gaza, refrain from using surveillance drones in Gaza for 6 hours a day during the ceasefire, and allow fuel to enter Gaza during that time, and dramatically increase the amount of goods permitted into the Strip. Yeah, talk about proportionality. Also, the Biden administration is delaying a shipment of 4,500 M16 rifles to Israel because they're upset at National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir. I'm Justin, and this is the Israel Guys. Welcome to the Israel Guys, where we believe that in a world of Jew hatred and anti-Israel propaganda, you should have a direct connection to the land and people of Israel. We're going to jump in with the news for today, but first, make sure to subscribe, like this video, also hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of our content that we're putting out every single day of the week, Monday through Friday. Also, make sure to follow us on our other social media platforms on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. You can get all kinds of different other content on there. You can also join our breaking news Telegram channel. You can click the link in the description below if you want to join that. So we're in the 7th week of the war with Hamas in Israel right now. Hamas is still continuing to rain down rockets on Israel every single day. And the IDF is still moving through Gaza, cleaning house, doing a very good job. They just announced that so far they have destroyed 400 terror tunnels, which is great. So you've probably seen it on the news about a hostage deal being reached. So the Israeli cabinet, they met yesterday evening to discuss a potential hostage deal / ceasefire with Hamas. Netanyahu said at the beginning of the cabinet meeting, he put out a video, he said, quote, "Israel is at war and will continue to be at war until we achieve all of our goals." He vowed to eliminate Hamas, return all of our hostages, and to ensure that there will be no factors left in Gaza that threaten Israel. And then they went on with the meeting. According to JNS, the Israeli cabinet approved a deal this morning on Wednesday, which reportedly calls for Hamas terrorists to release 50 of the estimated 240 hostages it holds in the Gaza Strip in exchange for a multi-day ceasefire. The first batch of hostages is expected to be released as early as Thursday, with Hamas reportedly having agreed to release 12 to 13 hostages each day of the 4-day truce. I'm sure Hamas would like to drag it out as long as possible. Israel's Channel 12 News reported that the deal will see the release of 30 children, 8 mothers, and 12 women being held by Hamas. Now, the terror group Hamas, they claimed that it could not immediately locate 10 additional children taken from southern Israel on October 7th. I have no idea what they're talking about. How could they not locate children that they're holding hostage? Absolutely ridiculous. Also, as part of this agreement, as part of the deal, Hamas is supposed to allow the International Committee of the Red Cross to visit the remaining hostages in Gaza and provide medical assistance to those who need it. And in return, Israel will release 150 to 300 female and teenage Palestinian prisoners, quote, with no blood on their hands. They will reportedly be allowed to return to their homes in eastern Jerusalem, Judea, and Samaria. Israel has also reportedly agreed to refrain from using surveillance drones in Gaza for 6 hours a day during this ceasefire. And Jerusalem will also reportedly allow fuel to enter Gaza during that time and dramatically increase the amount of goods permitted into the Gaza Strip. Senior Hamas official Musa Abu Marzouk, he announced in an interview this morning to Al Jazeera, he said that the ceasefire with Gaza will begin at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. This morning, the Israeli Minister of Justice, they published a list containing the names of the 300 prisoners that they put together that are intended for release as part of this hostage deal. This is crazy. According to Arutz Sheva, the vast majority of the prisoners to be released in this deal are under age 20. Many are Israeli citizens. And get this, a large percentage belong to a terrorist organization. All have been involved in criminal activities, including attempted murder, stabbing attacks, support of terrorism, actions endangering state security, causing severe bodily harm, stone throwing, arson, bearing illegal arms, and more. Are you kidding me? Guys, stop for just a second. Think about how insanely crazy this is. Before I say what I'm about to say, I want to say that I'm not saying a hostage deal should not be made. Honestly, I do not envy at all the decision makers in the Israeli government. It's got to be a horrible, really tough place to be in, to see these hostage families begging for their family members to be returned home from the Gaza Strip who have been held by Hamas for 7 weeks now in the Gaza Strip. It's got to be so hard to see them. And then also, you don't want to stop. You don't want to stop attacking Gaza stop attacking Hamas when you almost have them in your grip. When you've been doing all these actions in Gaza. But I do want to say this: Hamas terrorists came to Israel on October 7th. They killed, tortured, and raped 1,200 Israelis, wounded 5,500, and took another 240 hostages. And then, when Israel retaliated, as Hamas knew they would, they cried to the world for a ceasefire and then agreed to release some hostages if Israel will stop bombing them and release at least triple the number of prisoners being held in Israeli prisons for actual crimes, if not terrorist activities. Also, what does a ceasefire do for Hamas? It gives them time to escape the trap that Israel has for them, or that Israel has set for them. Israel finally has Hamas in their clutches. They've been moving through the Gaza Strip. They finally have Hamas, but a ceasefire, it gives time for Hamas to escape, to regroup, rearm, and then attack Israel again when it suits them best. Guys, this is absolutely crazy. And again, I'm not saying that a hostage deal should not be reached here. I don't know what the answer is here. U.S. President Joe Biden, he welcomed the deal to release the hostages held by Hamas and promised to make sure that it, quote, will be carried out in full. I welcome the deal to release the hostages kidnapped by the terrorist organization in its brutal attack against Israel on October 7th. Not everyone, though, is in favor of a ceasefire. National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir voted against the ceasefire deal and warned that an emerging deal to secure the release of some hostages in exchange for a ceasefire in the war against Hamas could backfire. He said he was, quote, very concerned that the exact details of a potential agreement were not being divulged and that members of the government are, quote, not being told the truth. He said, the rumors are that the state of Israel is once again going to make a very, very big mistake in the style of the Shalit Deal. The Shalit Deal was when Israel, after 5 years, exchanged 1,000 Palestinian prisoners, including current Hamas leader in Gaza, Yahya Sinwar, in exchange for a captive Israeli soldier who had been held in Gaza for 5 years. His name is Gilad Shalit. So that was the Gilad Shalit Deal. The government did say that they would release prisoners without blood on their hands, but still, these are prisoners being held in Israeli prisons for committing crimes, for being involved, if not in actual terrorist attacks, or not fulfilling terrorist attacks, actually trying to do terrorist attacks, supporting terrorism. It's these type of prisoners being exchanged for innocent Israelis who did absolutely nothing, who were brutally taken hostage by Hamas on October 7th. Guys, do not listen to anyone who tries to make moral equivalence here between Hamas and Israel. They're not exchanging prisoners for prisoners. This is not a POW swap here. This is prisoners being exchanged for innocent Israelis. And no, Hamas has not suddenly had a change of heart and become humane. They are still the exact same monsters that committed the horrific atrocities 7 weeks ago. Guys, we're going to get into a crazy bombshell report coming out of the White House. But first, Israel is experiencing an unprecedented nightmare. Thousands of Israelis, including men, women, and children, are facing unimaginable terror. The trauma the children are experiencing, especially during this time, is severe. Many have experienced violence firsthand, lost loved ones, and are living through the constant fear and uncertainty for their family's safety. These experiences have left deep emotional scars that will continue to haunt them for the rest of their lives, unless we help them. Shiloh Israel Children's Fund provides victimized, terror-stricken children with the life-saving therapies they urgently need to heal from their trauma. Shiloh Israel Children's Fund partners with mental health professionals to provide the immediate interventions and future therapies that these children so desperately need. The success that Shiloh Israel Children's Fund has had with these children over the past 20 years is inspiring. They've helped thousands of Israeli kids to contend with the trauma, find healing, and eventually move forward to live happy, healthy, and productive lives. Because of the current war, the Shiloh Israel Children's Fund does not have the resources to help all the children that need treatment. Your generous donation can make a profound difference in the lives of these precious children. It can provide them with an opportunity to receive the therapy they need to rebuild their emotional well-being and find hope for a brighter future. Go to shilohisrael.org or click the link in the description below to donate today to help these children. So, the Biden administration is doing something crazy. Imagine that. They're reportedly delaying a shipment of 4,500 M16 rifles to Israel because they're upset that something that National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir did. This is from the Daily Wire. They said President Joe Biden's administration has reportedly delayed sending thousands of M16 rifles to Israel because it is angered that Itamar Ben-Gvir, the Minister of National Security of Israel, has turned the distribution of the weapons to Israeli citizens into events that generate significant media attention. Ben-Gvir, a right-wing nationalist, has been distributing weapons to civilian security squads in towns following Hamas's unprecedented terrorist attacks on October 7th. When thousands of terrorists stormed into Israel and massacred entire towns of unarmed civilians. The Times of Israel reported that, quote, the Biden administration was furious that Ben-Gvir posted photographs on his social media accounts of the weapons being distributed to Israeli civilians. So apparently, Israel arming its civilians to prevent terror attacks is offensive to the Biden administration. And now they're mad because Itamar Ben-Gvir is standing for right-wing things, and he is posting on his social media about defending the people of Israel. The Biden administration really does not like that. They were also apparently worried that Ben-Gvir could arm Israeli civilians living in Judea and Samaria as Islamic terror attacks have been rapidly escalating in the area. They said that the weapons cannot be distributed beyond the Green Line. Yeah, God forbid that Israeli civilians should be protected in Judea and Samaria. Of course you don't want that to happen. Israel is also reportedly concerned that a larger shipment of 15,000 rifles ordered from the U.S. could be potentially placed on hold. Hopefully it's not. Guys, but what is crazy, what is horrible about this is that right now the people of Judea and Samaria are perhaps the most vulnerable place. Hamas terrorist leaders, the leaders of Hamas, have been continuing to threaten a repeat of the October 7th attacks. They're threatening it to happen in Judea and Samaria. They've been inciting Muslims to launch attacks against Israel from Judea and Samaria. Middle East Media Research Institute, MEMRI, they reported this. Telegram channels identified with Hamas's student organization, the Islamic Bloc, and especially with its branches in the West Bank, are especially active in spreading threats and incitement of this kind. In a November 16th post on its Telegram channel, for example, the Islamic Bloc urged the people of the West Bank to emulate the October 7th attacks by storming Israeli localities within their reach. Other posts on this channel likewise incite terrorism and provide operational advice on carrying out effective attacks. Absolutely crazy, ridiculous stuff that the Biden administration is doing. They are, in fact, harming the people of Israel by not allowing weapons to come into Israel, not allowing them to come into Judea and Samaria, perhaps where they need them the most. Absolute craziness going on here. Guys, I like to end on a positive note. There's a lot of darkness in the world. There's a lot of darkness coming out of Israel right now, a lot of horrible things happening in the world, but there's also a lot of videos just going around that are showing really the unity here in Israel. There's a video of an IDF combat soldier who was wounded in Gaza, and he was greeted in the hospital by his unit who came to visit him. So yes, there is a lot of darkness happening in the world today, but there's also a lot of positive videos coming out like this, and there's a lot of unity in the land of Israel. That's one good thing that has come out of the war so far, is I feel like it's really unified the people of Israel. Guys, continue to pray for the nation of Israel. Pray that the leaders of Israel would be bold, that they would have wisdom to make the right decisions. They're really in tough spots here, but pray for them that they would make the right decisions. Don't forget to check out the Shiloh Israel Children's Fund. You can support the children today. You can click the link in the description below to help them out. Don't forget to subscribe, get the conversation going down below. And as always, tune out the fake news and tune into what is actually happening here in the land of Israel. We'll be back every day, Monday through Friday, with your direct connection to the land and people of Israel.